Thank you for tuning in to Entertain the Geeky, your source for nerd news.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jason back at you with more nerd news. So we're back to we're gonna do another throwback episode. We're going all the way back to 1992 on this one.
How old were you in '92?
Oh hell, I don't know.
I was 84, so I was 8. Which means you were 9.
I was 9.
You were 9.
Yeah, I was 9.
Yeah. That was 92.
Yeah. So joining me in our journey to the past is Rodger.
Yo, thank you for having me on to this wonderful, awesome show where we're going to talk about. I wore my '90s pants, by the way, guys.
He does. He's wearing ripped jeans.
I got my ripped jeans. I was going to put the flannel on, but I couldn't find flannel to wear today.
I don't think I even own any flannel anymore.
I don't think I do either. But my corn shirt
used to have
no
a lot
longer
of
fits.
flannel, though. Well, I still have a corn shirt. Yeah, I think it's down in the basement, but I still have it.
It no longer fits me.
I remember I bought that shirt. I bought that shirt at Family Values 1998.
Which one did you get?
So it's them as like little cartoon characters.
I got the Follow the Leader corn
Oh
shirt.
yeah. The one that Todd McFarlane did the art for. I think.
Did he?
Yeah. Oh, McFarlane. Yeah. All that little like where she's skipping up the cliff. That's Todd McFarlane.
Is it?
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense now.
Yeah.
Because that's Todd McFarlane.
Right. And speaking of, well, we're just going to talk about this right now. So a big thing out of '92 was Image Comics.
Like, I think one of the biggest things.
I mean, yeah.
At least in comic book form.
It was, okay, so, you're obviously we were young, but those were the comics that when you were in the, you couldn't buy them because my mom would never let me own Spawn comics or Savage Dragon comics or anything like that. But when I was in the store, I could look at them and be like, it's so violent, it's amazing.
There's a guy getting his arm chopped off and you see the blood. And
yeah, it's true. It's true.
I actually could buy Image Comics. My mom didn't care what I read.
Oh, yeah, my mom didn't want me reading all those violent comics.
I don't think she understood what I was reading when I was a kid. But my mom was very just whatever type mom. But Image came out and it just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Creator owned, ready to go.
Well, and it's at first, when you look at Image as a company, it was small and it was several people from the big two companies that were disenfranchised with how those people did business, and they wanted to retain more of the rights to the things that they owned and created. So it came at a time, when it was the new kid on the block, and when we look at here, in 2018. It is now the top 3, right? Like it's no longer just the big 2, DC and Marvel. It is the big 3, DC, Marvel, Image.
You're what, 25 years in, roughly? 92, 02, 2002. Yeah, roughly 25, 26 years in.
Yeah, sure.
And you've changed the way the industry works.
Yeah.
Image did that. If it wasn't for Image, we wouldn't have Walking Dead. We wouldn't have a lot of
Invincible and those kinds of things. And it worked in a way that allowed creators to retain their intellectual property rights, right? Like I created this character, and even though he's part of a well-established universe, it's still my character. Mm-hmm. Which actually was really funny because later some of those characters were then sold back to those companies that shunned these guys initially.
Angela.
Yeah, Angela is a good example, yeah.
It did a lot. And I think about it, like Brian Michael Bendis didn't work for Image, but because of that, the way they did it, he was allowed to tell stories through third publishing that made him what he was.
Right, exactly.
You had people actually being able to tell the stories that they wanted to tell without that influence from the higher-ups.
Right, and not having to be bogged down by years and years, 50 years of continuity at that point, you know what I mean? That's the real truth of the whole thing is you have these guys these creators who want to do new and interesting things with the characters that you love, but they're very chained to who these characters are and who they already have been. So they're not given too much leeway to go outside of that. But
Spawn.
Image came along and now has changed that, and creators are given more freedom. Even creators working for Marvel and DC have been given more freedom.
What do we have? We had Spawn, Savage Dragon, Wildcats. Like that was the 3, right?
Wasn't Haunt a launch?
Oh, yeah.
I think Haunt was a launch title for Image too. Because I liked Haunt, because I liked Capullo. Capullo was always a great artist for me.
I liked Wildcats a lot.
I read Wildcats, but it was never really my thing.
Yeah, I liked Wildcats a lot.
A secret agent superhero team. Yeah, it was never really my thing.
And then when DC picked them up as Wildstorm, they did a much better run than the first series.
Yeah, again, I didn't even read it when it was a DC property.
I
read Grifter when it was going on.
Grifter was good.
The Grifter I read wasn't good. Maybe there was better Grifter.
It was better Grifter.
Because I read New 52 Grifter, and it was terrible.
Whoa.
It was terrible.
Whoa.
I didn't like this character at all. I was like, who is this guy?
No. Don't read New 52 Grifter. Just don't.
Well, it was my opportunity to start fresh and start at number 1 and get to know this guy.
You know, there's trade paperbacks for a reason.
I get it. I am aware of this.
You can go back
if you
and
saw my
reread
bookshelf, you'd understand. I'm well aware.
And McFarlane, like as much, we talked about this a little earlier, but McFarlane's artwork in '92 was amazing. In '92, it was revolutionary.
Different. It was different.
Yeah.
He took chances with his artistic style.
Look what we did with Torment.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man Torment. Like
that's another one from 1992. It's the start of Spider-Man as a series. We had Amazing Spider-Man. We had Spectacular Spider-Man. We even had there was another one. It was Amazing, Spectacular. Then there was like Your Friendly Neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So there was Spider-Man books all over the place, but none were just titled Spider-Man.
Nope,
and so McFarlane got the job, and the Torment arc started.
Torment made Lizard cool again.
Torment definitely made Lizard familiar face again. Yeah. I don't know if it made him cool again. I don't think the Lizard's ever been really cool as a character.
He was cool in that. And that story arc, in those first 4 issues, Lizard was cool.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of McFarlane as an artist either. Like, I mean, I understand that what he does is important and had changed the comic world and stuff like that, but his portrayal or his style for Lizard and Spider-Man, it just doesn't work well for those characters, I think, because he focuses too much on every individual muscle tone, and it's just a Spider-Man, right? Like, he's just a little kid.
But he's not a little kid.
Okay, sure.
He's 30 years old, married,
sure. He's just an average guy, right? Like,
bitten by a radioactive spider with muscle tone.
You can have muscle tone and not have it look like you're drawing a naked man with Spider-Man costume tattooed on his body.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
It's just a little weird.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
It's a little too detailed.
No, you did bring up a point, though, about McFarlane. And, yeah, his artist hasn't changed.
No, it's, you look at Kubert is one of my favorites, right? And Kubert did X-Men way, way back.
Right. And they were just like little blobs of people. Because there was
and he was fine. He was good. I liked him then, right?
Right.
You look at him now, and he has evolved as an artist so much that it's almost unrecognizable, his older things. You can't say that about McFarlane. McFarlane hasn't evolved his style at all. It's just still the same.
No, and when you look at it, like, now with the technology that McFarlane has, you would think that the style would change a little.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
No.
Stupid McFarlane.
And yes, was the Spider-Man run good and interesting? And honestly, 200 issues later, it's still going on. Well, it's about Miles Morales now.
I don't know if it was good or interesting. I mean, after the first 4 issues, it kind of tapered.
There was a few arcs in there that were still good.
I mean, it wasn't the best.
It wasn't the best, no. But amazing over in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, in fact, specifically Amazing Spider-Man 361, we got our first appearance of Carnage.
The serial killer of the Marvel Universe.
He is like that was the greatest. That was the coolest thing about him, right? It's like this is a serial killer possessed of the symbiote.
Yeah, he's the Punisher with the symbiote.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Do you remember? I remember when Carnage came out, and like everyone was freaking out because it was Venom, but he was red. And when you read the issues, you found out that no, it was Venom. Crazy.
Yeah,
and that really is what started that team up with Spider-Man and Venom.
Well, yeah, the symbiote really comes from your own perception of the world and your own desires, and that's what it's born out of. Brock was underappreciated and was having hard times in his life, and so the symbiote made him powerful and gave him power. Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, is a serial killer sitting on death row for murder, for multiple serial murders, and the symbiote finds him, and it takes on the persona that naturally it would coming from him.
Yeah.
Which is just a murderous monster.
And then, 2 years later, it gave us Maximum Carnage?
It did. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's something to be too proud of. Maximum Carnage is not a really good story.
It was all right. Really Spider-Man and Venom teaming up, taking down Carnage.
I mean, I like Spider-Man and Venom teaming up. I think that's a cool idea. Just they didn't tell that story very well. They could have been much better.
Look, it was the 90s. They didn't tell a lot of Spider-Man stories well.
It's true.
I mean, you want to run down that list? Maximum Carnage, Clone Saga.
Okay, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. There were some fantastic stories that came out of that era.
Yeah, a lot of X-Men. Like, 90s X-Men is the awesomeness of X-Men.
90s X-Men gave us, Jim Lee drawing the characters. Red. Yeah, some of these interesting characters. Specifically, though, 92 gave us Extinction Agenda.
It did.
Which was
the sequel
unofficially.
No, it's the sequel. It's the sequel to Days of Future Past.
It's got the time traveling thing, and it's Cable's in it, and blah blah blah. But it was really more of a prelude to what the X-Men comics became in that following decade.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
all of these things that happened very early on in the 90s were just preludes to what is some of the best X-Men stories ever written.
Right.
And Extinction Agenda is no small part of that.
Extinction wasn't that like one of the first crossovers for the X-Men in the 90s?
No, because books tied into there was an Apocalypse story. Books were tied in Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse was 94.
Did Age of Apocalypse come after?
Yeah.
Age of Apocalypse was early 90s.
No, Age of Apocalypse was like 94, 95.
Okay.
Because I remember that, maybe even later than that, because that came out after Fatal Attractions. Age of Apocalypse was after Fatal Attractions.
Yeah, but where was Extinction Agenda?
Extinction was 92.
No, not Extinction. Not Extinction Agenda. I'm sorry, Executioner's Song.
That was
Executioner's Song also had crossover stuff.
It did, but I think that was 80s. I honestly think that was 80s. I remember picking up Executioner's Song in trade paperback.
Yeah, let's be honest. It's Executioner's Song.
Right.
It's not Executioner's
Whatever.
Song. Okay.
Whatever. Don't correct me on your show.
That doesn't make it. You're not making any sense right now. I don't understand what's happening. But yes, so obviously we had some interesting comic stuff. Movie wise, we had Batman Returns,
the darkest, kinkiest Batman movie ever made.
I'll agree with you on the kinky part.
Like,
Catwoman's wearing very, very tight.
Like that movie was 50 Shades of Grey before 50 Shades of Grey. It's
I don't think it's that extreme.
A millionaire.
Okay. I don't think it's that extreme, though. 50 Shades of Grey is pretty extreme when it comes to the...
Well, yeah, times have changed. Okay,
yes.
We've allowed more things in movies. But I'm just saying, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, Christopher Walken.
Walken, yeah. Everyone forgets Walken.
Walken was in that,
Shrek.
Yeah, Walken and Batman.
Keaton Batman, which some people love it, some people hate it. I'm personally, I liked it. I didn't think it was bad.
My wife thinks Keaton is the best Batman.
Keaton is not the best Batman.
She's on that. He is the best Batman.
So what this comes down to, though, is how do you define the best Batman, right? So is it the voice? Is it the look? Is it all of those things combined? Is it Bruce Wayne versus Batman? There's a really distinct... And do you include the animated show? Because in all reality, Kevin Conroy is probably the best Batman.
Which also came out in 92.
It did. Batman the Animated Series also came out in 92. So we had two big... And Batman the Animated Series, and let's be honest, it was intended to capitalize on the success of Burton's films.
Yes, and it was very Burton style.
Yeah.
It was set... The cars were very 1940s, which is what Burton had with his movies.
Right.
But they took what Burton started and just ramped it to 10.
Well, yeah, they added in all the other stuff.
All the other stuff,
right.
But they kept it dark, and they kept it gritty for a kid's show. Like, I went back and started rewatching the show, and it's dark.
Yeah, I mean, and it holds up today. That's the real reality. You can go back and watch it today in 2018, and it definitely will still blow you away.
The animation is excellent.
That's Bruce Timm.
Like, the animation is just excellent, and it holds up. The coloring, what I found out is they use the exact same colors as every other cartoon.
Sure.
They just painted it on black paper.
Right, yeah.
And that's how they got that dark.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that show was so good. The first episode, the Man-Bat. That was the first episode.
I know. I actually had a conversation about this with my wife. We were watching it, I think, on Amazon Instant Video, and she said something about, oh, no, this is the first episode. I'm like, no, this is Man-Bat's first episode.
Man-Bat's the first
I remember
episode.
Kirk Langstrom blowing my mind in that first episode.
Oh, just remember when the lightning bolt hit behind Batman in the opening scene, you knew you were in for a good time.
Well, and it was also a cartoon that didn't have a theme song, right? It was just music, accompanied to some scenes from the show. And their thought on this was, if you don't know who this is, we're not telling you who this is. There was no title card in the opening sequence. It was just music and Batman beating up dudes.
Yeah.
Then
stopping a robbery.
Yeah. They robbed a bank. There's an explosion. They're running away. Batman gets in the way.
The Batmobile shows up.
Yeah. Like, it was just, if you don't know who this is, you just haven't been paying attention to the world, right? We're not going to hold your hand.
No, the Batmobile, that was a cool Batmobile too.
I have the
big
toy,
one, yeah,
the big toy. I spent too much money on both those toys.
Is it sad to me that I think that show lasted from 92 to 98, and then they switched to the Adventures of Batman and Robin?
No, the New Adventures was earlier than that.
Was it?
Yeah, the New Adventures. It went for like 3-4 years as just Batman, and it had Robin in it, and then it switched into the New Adventures.
Yeah, after the New Adventures, I quit watching.
Yeah,
but that show, the Batman animated series, showed so much more good Batman stories than we've ever gotten out of any of the movies.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And some of the best stories about some of our favorite characters came from the animated show.
Yeah.
The Two-Face, the 2-part Two-Face introduction is one of the best pieces of cartoon you'll ever watch.
And it portrayed Poison Ivy, Catwoman,
Freeze.
It gave us Harley Quinn.
It did.
It portrayed these secondary characters that didn't get a lot of love in the movies, and even in the comics, they were kind of second fiddle characters.
There was villains that stood out among the rest. Freeze always stood out because of the tragedy of his story. The Joker always stood out because of his psychosis and his twisted love of Batman.
And it gave us Mark Hamill as the Joker.
It did give us Mark Hamill as the Joker, which is, I think, the best voice that you can have for the character.
That first time,
and I've heard lots of people do it. I think Jack Nicholson did it great. I think Heath Ledger did the laugh great.
The first time you heard that laugh in the cartoon, though.
Mark Hamill does the laugh better than anybody. It's maniacal.
Chills.
Yeah, I mean, because it starts off in such a, he's having a good kind of, joke, and then it becomes, whoa, he's a psycho.
Why is he still laughing? That's what why is he still laughing?
Exactly.
And the way you would integrate his laughs into his sentences, just
little giggles every now and then.
Like Mark Hamill was the best Joker.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk really about Batman Returns at all, but
I did. I said it was a kinky movie.
It's kinky.
It was a kinky movie. There was a whip and tasers. And
speaking of kinky movies, though, we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer also.
Joss Whedon's first foray into Hollywood as a movie guy.
It's
not good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
If you want to watch Buffy, watch the show. The show was much better.
So watching the movie, and if you go back and you just read what Joss Whedon had to say, is like they didn't get it.
Sure.
He's like, they didn't understand. The show is amazing.
Yeah.
Buffy the show is good.
It is a good show.
And I'll watch the movie. It's a good tongue-in-cheek movie.
It had Luke Perry.
It did have Luke Perry, fresh off 90210 fame.
I mean, in all reality, that was at a time when that guy's career was like at its peak.
Who played his friend? Who played Luke Perry's friend? He actually became an act like he had other roles. I think he was the one guy that actually had roles besides Hilary Swank after Buffy.
Yeah, I don't remember, man. It's been too long.
We'll look it up after the show.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've seen it. But I do remember Luke Perry because my mother was a huge fan of Beverly Hills 90210. So the night, I don't even remember what night it aired, but the nights it would air every week, that was what was on in our living room. 90210. Yeah. So I watched 90210, and I'm not proud of that, but
whatever. You were young.
I was young. Yeah,
your mom made you do it.
Yeah.
No, Luke Perry. That scene where Pike, because Pike was Luke Perry's character, but Benny was his name. Benny, you're floating.
Yes,
you're floating outside.
Yes,
it's a good, funny movie. But if you really want to see what Joss Whedon had in mind for Buffy, read the comic because he did an adaptation of his original script.
Yeah,
and that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And who played the villain? It was the guy from Blade Runner.
Rutger Hauer?
Yeah.
Rutger Hauer.
Played the villain in Buffy. And Donald Sutherland
Sutherland
played the Watcher.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's and Hilary Swank.
Yeah, there's worthwhile, noteworthy appearances.
There's acting power in this movie
but it really just failed. Yeah,
fell so flat.
It failed to take advantage of everything that it could have been.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, and the TV show.
And then the show started taking advantage of that.
The TV show took advantage of it. I mean, it was no Mighty Ducks. Okay. It was no Mighty Ducks.
Oh, you had to bring up Mighty Ducks. I didn't even put that on the list. You had to bring up Mighty Ducks.
That's 92 slap shot all
92, Mighty Ducks. Yeah.
Emilio Estevez giving us his roles.
I'm going to be honest though. The thing that really made me a fan of Mighty Ducks was the fact that movie gave birth to an awesome cartoon show with actual duck aliens from space that fought that fought alien dinosaurs
while playing hockey.
And
it gave us a new NHL team.
It did. The Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
So, staying with the animated series, the other big one was obviously the X-Men animated series,
which does not hold up well.
No, its animation style doesn't hold up at all. It's terrible. The arcs, though, and the acting in that show holds up really well.
No, the story, like if you want great comic adaptations of stories, that's where you go.
Better than most of the movies.
Oh, it's like I watched
Dark Phoenix Saga in the cartoon was better than any movie has done.
Yeah, the one movie where Wolverine.
Well, that's true. We're about to get a new Phoenix story.
Yeah, I'm not
Dark Phoenix comes out this year.
It does not. I'm blocking that movie from my schedule.
Okay,
because it's going to be bad. You know, it's going to be.
I honestly don't think it's going to be bad because do I think that the last couple of movies have been perfect? No, but do I think that they're back on the right track? Absolutely.
First Class was good. Days of Future Past was good. Apocalypse was bad.
Apocalypse was not bad. Apocalypse has so many redeeming qualities.
So bad.
And everybody just gets on Oscar Isaacs for his kind of, flat performance and his kind of one-dimensional performance.
But that's Apocalypse.
But I defend that because that's who Apocalypse is.
He's that way in the cartoon.
Singular. He's a very singularly focused individual, and he doesn't really sway in who he is.
No, I don't. No, Apocalypse was just a bad movie.
See, I don't think it was bad. I think it had a lot of redeeming qualities. It doesn't matter how many times and what situations they get them into. Fassbender and McAvoy are amazing.
Okay.
They're great.
Yeah.
And I will watch those movies just because they're Xavier and Magneto.
I'm out. I don't need Magneto in my movies.
I like Magneto.
I know you do, but
Magneto's
he doesn't need to be in every... See, that's what the X-Men cartoon did really well. Magneto was a bad guy. He would show up, messing stuff up.
Yeah.
And then they were like, here's like 5 episodes of a story arc that has nothing to do with the Brotherhood.
Yeah, but it always came back to Magneto.
Well, yeah, because he's the big bad. Mm-hmm. But I don't need we have yet to have an X-Men movie without Magneto.
That's not true. Logan didn't have Magneto.
Logan doesn't count. That's on its own.
Okay. X-Men Origins and The Wolverine didn't have Magneto.
Again, those are about Wolverine.
It doesn't matter. Xavier's in both of those.
Xavier's not in the Wolverine.
Yes, he is.
Is he?
He cameos at the end to set up Days of Future Past.
Does he?
Yes.
Huh.
He freezes the whole airport.
Was he in Origins?
Yeah.
Was he?
At the very end, they had CG young Xavier saving Cyclops and all the kids from the Weapon X
facility. I remember that. Yeah.
We're forgetting all of these things.
There's a reason I'm forgetting these things.
Magneto has not been in every movie, but Xavier has been in every movie.
No. Yeah.
Because he was even in Logan.
Yeah, he was good in Logan.
Oh, he's great in Logan. Logan's great. It's the best one they've ever made.
Yeah, they should stop right there.
Well, they're going to be stopping as soon as Disney gets their hands on that property. They're going to rework it and do new X-Men movies.
You think they'll cast Patrick Stewart as Xavier?
They would be a fool not to at least ask him.
He's done.
I mean, I think he's done too. But they would be a fool not to at least ask him. Because if by some random stroke of luck he said, all right.
Oh, yeah. That'd
be awesome.
You know what else?
What's that?
The X-Men cartoon was good.
The X-Men cartoon is not terrible.
Hold on. I remember when Pizza Hut gave us video cassettes, you order pizza.
I probably still have one of those.
I got them both. Night of the Sentinels and Deadly Reunions.
Yeah, I got Night of the Sentinels.
But there's a little cameo, what's that interview with Stan Lee? And they're talking about it. And they actually talk about how bad the animation is.
Well, yeah, that was also the little interview where Stan Lee talks about how the X-Men were born, right? Talks about how you had Spider-Man with the radiation and the spider. You had gamma rays over here with Hulk. But what if they were just born that way, right? And Stan Lee in that interview said he wanted to call the book The Mutants. But the people at Marvel were like, no one's going to know what a mutant is. So we arrived on X-Men. But then Stan Lee goes, but then I thought to myself, if nobody knows what a mutant is, how the hell is anybody going to know what an X-Man is? Right. Whatever. I was glad we had a title and we moved forward with the book.
And they're called mutants.
They're called mutants.
And we got a book called New Mutants later on. So he's good.
So yeah, the animated series, while its animation doesn't hold up well, its storytelling and its voice acting really do hold up well.
So of the two, which one do you preserve?
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even a question.
Yeah. Okay. We agree.
So we're going to really quickly touch before we get done here on some video game stuff because, man, 92 was huge for video games. The Super Nintendo had really hit its stride in 92.
It released in Europe.
Well, it released in Europe. It had been in America since 1990.
Right.
But it really started to get some of the big titles, right? So right off the bat, Mario Kart, huge, right?
Mario
like
Kart.
That was just huge. And without going into too much detail about it, about this other title as well, like Mario is Missing released that year, and it's not a good game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was an attempt by Nintendo to put Luigi front and center, and we didn't want Luigi front and center.
We got a better game later on.
Yes.
Luigi's Mansion.
That's
the game to do it.
Fantastic game. But Mario Kart, man, that changed the little 2-player, 4-player thing we had going on at the time. It was great. I mean, just super fun.
Star Road.
Star Road's annoying. I hate it when people pick Star Road.
We also had the birth of the two fighting giants in '92.
Yes,
you had Finish Him.
Yeah.
And Hadouken.
Well, see, Street Fighter had been around.
Street Fighter 2 came out in '91.
Right. Street Fighter 2 Turbo came out in '92, and I feel like that is the definitive way to play the game.
I'm trying to remember which one Turbo is.
Turbo's the one that had the expanded roster. And
right, they all had the expanded rosters.
No, Street Fighter 2, you could not play as M. Bison.
No.
You could not play as...
no, because it went Street Fighter where you had the 8, and then Street Fighter 2 Turbo where you could just... It was 12.
No, it was Street Fighter 2 and then Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
And that had 12 because that added the 4, but there was one after that. That added Hyper. That's the one, because I added... No, there's one after Hyper. Because there's one that adds Cammy, Fei Long, and those to the mix.
That's Turbo.
Well, Hyper came out before Turbo then.
Well, maybe it did. But that's Turbo.
No,
Turbo had the whole roster.
And then there was Hyper Turbo, because that's the one where you could do the super moves.
Yeah.
No, that whole roster playing Cammy. And that beautiful stage.
Being able for the first time to play as M. Bison?
That was before Cammy.
No.
Yes, it was. That was before Cammy.
No.
We're going to... Yes, it was. You're going to argue Street Fighter with me.
I'm not arguing Street Fighter with you. We don't have time to argue Street Fighter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
the point is...
It went
Turbo.
8, 12, Cammy. That's the 3 Street Fighter 2 releases.
The point is, Turbo is the definitive way to play the game. It had the tightest controls. It was just... It expanded the roster. It was, I think, the way you should be playing Street Fighter. I would still play Turbo today.
I have it at my house. We'll play it tonight when you come over.
Down. Let's play
It doesn't have Cammy on it.
Okay.
Because that's the game...
Okay.
The one that came... It was Street Fighter 2, The New Challengers. That's the one with Cammy in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been so many. And honestly, it's a testament to people's love of Street Fighter 2 that it's been redone so many times. Just two. We're not going back.
Guess what? We just got a new release of Street Fighter 2 on the Switch.
Yeah. So we perfected it here. And I think Turbo was the first step in that perfection.
And then we had Mortal Kombat.
And
that game...
Still making. This is
Mortal Kombat 11 is in production now.
Yeah, we just got 10.
Yeah, 11's in production. like fatalities are not going anywhere. That game, I remember when that game came out.
Yeah, I mean Ed Boon, he put himself on the map pretty quickly, and he's still a power player at Midway and Activision.
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat is what made you a Genesis fan.
Mortal Kombat is what made me a Genesis fan. Because it had blood.
For me, it was the other game that came out in '92.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Sonic 2.
Which we were looking at, and apparently it did tell you on the box that the game is 2 players. Although playing as Tails was ridiculous because Tails couldn't move as fast.
He couldn't do anything. But
he would die constantly.
That's how I got to play Sonic 2, because instead of handing my controller to my little brother to play,
I would go,
Tails. Here, be Tails.
Right.
Be Tails.
Because it didn't matter. Tails was not affecting your outcome here at all.
I could still beat the game no matter how many times you die.
Right. Tails is limited lives.
God, 92 was a good year.
It was. I mean, The other Genesis release that we can't end the show without mentioning is Ecco the Dolphin.
Oh my God, Ecco the Dolphin.
Ecco the Dolphin blew my mind. I never thought I could love a game about a dolphin and space aliens, but I'm going to tell you, it's a game about a dolphin and space aliens, and they're trying to take over Earth through the oceans.
And you gotta, save the ocean.
You have to save the world by saving the ocean and destroying the alien base.
And didn't you have to, clean up a bunch of litter?
No.
Or was that Echo Jr.?
That might have been Echo Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. Ecco the Dolphin was, serious, alien fish monsters that you had to ram into with your bottlenose.
That game.
It was so fun.
Playing a dolphin, that was just a bunch of blue.
Right, getting all freaked out when you were deep inside of a dungeon and you were running out of air. You couldn't find a bubble. I remember getting so freaked out by those moments. Like, I gotta get out of here, man. I'm gonna suffocate.
Man. It's 90. 92. I think the 90s might have been the best decade.
I don't think the 90s is the best decade. I think the 90s gave us a lot that we are still going back to as reference for why things are the way they are now.
It's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. It's a long time. We're old.
You know, half these people listening probably weren't even alive in the 90s.
I mean, you never know. You know, we could. My dad listens to the show.
Okay, he was definitely alive in the 90s. But think about it. So our target audience.
My mom listens to the show.
Right, but like for us, our target audience is like that sweet spot of like 22 to 24-year-old.
Sure.
And like while they were alive in the 90s, it was like the tail end of the 90s. That just man, we are old.
We are old. But we had some great times, and honestly, I'm going to keep doing these throwback things because what I've learned going through the few that I've done. We did 2000, we did 98 with Joe, and
93
and 92 today. Is there's always so much to talk about. Like you think, oh man, I got to scour and find what was going on, but there's always so much.
I literally this morning typed in video games that came out in 92.
That's
comics
what I did.
That came out in 92, and then the one role playing game, real quick. The one role playing game, Werewolf came out in 92. Yeah. And
honestly, I wish they still made those.
You're not the only one. There's a legion of fans out there. We're getting a new vampire game.
I mean, that's great. And is it going to be download only, or am I able to buy a physical book?
No, you're going to be able to buy a physical book.
Because White Wolf has been specifically targeting only the online market at this point.
Yes, because that's how they've been. But no, you're going to be able to go to the store and buy a physical book of the new vampire game.
Well, so some interesting things. I mean, like I said, there's always so much to talk about every time we start researching a year that we're going to go through. So we're going to do this again in the future. I want to thank everybody out there for sitting down and listening to us talk about all the nerdy things we love. I want to thank Rodger for coming on the show. And honestly, if you're digging what we're putting down, do me a favor, go on over to entertainthegeeky.com, check out the website. We got the blog posts there, we got the nerd news, we got both shows there, your show, my show. Merchandise. I mean, everything's
there. Also, coming soon, we're hyping it up now. Our Kickstarter campaign will be starting.
Yeah, we're gonna get the Kickstarter campaign going for EG Games.
So spread the love.
Yeah, we'll
give us all your money.
We'll sit down. We'll figure out some cool stuff to offer you guys for helping to donate for us.
Stretch goals and that whole thing. But yeah, it's coming. We're doing that.
I want to go ahead and throw it out here now too. The miniature market has opened up here locally.
Have you been there yet?
I've not gone in yet.
No. Oh my god! It is a beautiful store.
All right. Well, I'm excited. So we're definitely going to be talking with the ownership and the management there, and getting some events going on in the store. We're excited for them. We're excited for you guys out there to come and hang out with us and play some board games, and maybe ask us the questions that you've been wanting to, or if you want to ask those questions now, you can always comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/entertainmentgeeky. If Twitter's more your speed, we're on there as well at entertaingeeky. And if you ever want to chat with me and just talk to me about the various things that we've got going on, the various things we've got coming up, or what you want to hear on the show, shoot me an email at etgnerdnews@gmail.com. So that's going to bring us to the end. Thanks again to Rodger.
Thanks, Jason.
And thanks to you guys out there for listening. Until next time, stay geeky.
I did not inhale.